Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine heirs. Today is January the 21st, 2024 on the ancient moon calendar and 2024 on the ancient sun calendar. Our new year will happen on March 21st. So exactly 3 months from now. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in accordance with the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the divine sovereign living justices. And ego sum Pauline Denise Ritchie, my free chosen sovereign appellation is light tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Israelites, Hamathites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, and our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign, ancient Islamic Muslim Empire State for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are the ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth-wide Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are exercising the law by our sovereign status, which is the original indigenous, natural divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, trustees, divine ministers, possessors, and titled trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do hereby possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the one true living God nation, we are the only true living God nation. We are not at war, and we hereby exercise and demonstrate all ancient, eternal, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. The principles that we share and the laws that we share are not just our opinion, they are the law. Along with our sovereign, powerful demonstrations and study, these laws and processes that we share are principles of stare decisis, res judicata, ancient positive supreme law for the land long established in sovereign order. Erudite principles and processes for daily practical application to intelligently govern our vast estate every day is what our ancient ancestors have given us to share with the ancient sovereign nations, tribes, clans, states, and governments at earth, and for this we are grateful. Islam. So let us go ahead and share our screen. And open the meeting. Just one moment. Just one moment. Okay. Mm, okay. Just one moment. Let us share our screen. Okay. And we'll go ahead and open the table so that we can discuss Islam. So that way we can discuss the things that we have on our agenda today. Okay. So, a question for this Congress. What year did the actor previously calling himself the Pope enact coming to America and enacting the civil letter to Barack H. Obama? What year was that? Does anyone remember what year that was?
Islam. I
Islam.
believe it was 2013, but then he came, that was in the written word, followed up in 2014 with a visit in 2015, if I recall correctly.
I'm pretty sure that's correct as well. Yes. 2000. He acted that out 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Hey, Phoenix, tighten up your fucking dentures. Tighten up your dentures. Get some denture grip.
And
it was 2015, 2014, 2013. He was acting that out repeatedly. He was acting that out repeatedly to warn them that the Moors were waking up, that the Moors were starting to wake up. They could see that we were waking up. Islam nobility.
I know that I did my part to help notify the Vatican that I was waking up, because I sent them an overnight package at the end of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It express mail cost about $60 to send that to them, 60 credit Federal Reserve, to mail that note to them that I was alive or well, reclaiming my estate. And so I think he actually visited at least Pennsylvania, the state capital, and visited the Congress. I'm actually thinking that was closer to 2016, because by then I was actually in Philadelphia, because I was there when he came to Philadelphia, and where I was living at on the west side, there was a big giant archdiocese that he also visited, and they closed off all the streets around there. So I remember that was a historical event, and I didn't know the full significance of it at the time, even though I was temporarily staying right there in Philadelphia on the west side. But he actually came to Philadelphia after, I think it was after he visited the White House in D.C. and gave the Speaker of the House, Boehner, his marching orders, because he said he wasn't going to give them, whatever, derogatory term he used, anything. He wasn't going to, give up his seat, and he wasn't giving up power. And the Vatican or the Pope basically told him, I'll have your resignation by the end of today.
and we haven't seen him since then.
We haven't, because he tendered his resignation that same day, and it was announced a couple of days later.
Yeah. The reason I asked this question is because we were all, right around that time, everyone who can hear what I'm saying, what I'm stating here, everyone was in a state of either about to wake up, or waking up, or already waking. We were not awake then. We were in a state of waking up, but we were not awake then. We didn't wake up until 2017 when our Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey came across the internet and said some things and broke the spell. That was when we woke up. So that was in 2017. The reason I asked this question is because we all know that the one that was previously acting was only acting. He was only acting. But even with them acting, they have to yield everything. Even with the acting, they have to turn over all the titles and all of that because those titles don't belong to them. And so I came across some video over the last few days, and apparently this video surfaced in 2016 of some Moors who know that they are the popes. And so they literally, obviously, just one moment, they literally put on their papal garb, their wear, and had a ceremony, a huge ceremony. And when I say huge, I mean huge. And none of us heard about it. None of us knew about it. And it was when I saw the video and looked at when this took place, I was like, how come we never knew this? How come we never knew that Moors actually had to state that we are who we are? Now, let me say this before I show you the photos. All Moors are the popes. All of us, every one of us is the pope. All of us. All of us, every one of us are chief justices. We're Supreme Court justices. We're just name a title or state a title. We're that also. Not just one or two. And apparently these Moors knew that it was more than one, just because many of them
you're on fucking crack if you believe
had the garb on. See, let me say this about what we're doing. Those ones that come in and try to say things and try to disrupt, they knew that all of this stuff was going on. They knew we were taking back everything. They knew that. But they didn't want us to know that it was happening all over the land. All over the land. And so they muted, like they enacted muting.
That's funny. Somebody else is taking back Aisha's house.
They can't really mute us, but they acted like they were muting us so that the Moors over here wouldn't see that Moors over there knew they were the Pope, and Moors over there wouldn't know that the Moors over here were the justices, and the Moors where you are wouldn't know that you're the law and you're the government and all of that. But this stuff, our awakening has been going on the whole time, and there's been an attempt to disconnect us from seeing each other waking up. But it's too late now. It's too late. It's too late. These Moors knew. In 2016 is when these photos that I'm about to show you took place. 2016. So right after that one, the actor came here, some Moors on the East Coast was like, we're the Pope. We're the popes. So And for the sake of, this happened on the East Coast, for the sake of their identities, I'm not going to say who they are because we know who they are. We know them. We didn't know this was going on, though. We did not know this. And some of you, there may be one or two of you who might know who these Moors are. But this happened in 2016 where they called it an ascension. An ascension service in 2016. And I blotted out, all of that because we don't want to put anyone on the spot. I didn't blot this out because you can see their faces. But let me just say this. The Moors who know that, listen, everyone knew. Everyone knew. This is, and I blotted out the faces here, just for the sake of their identities. We honor them, and we want to ensure that their honor is, we just want to make sure that they know we honor what they did. But this is them in 2016, knowing that they're the popes, knowing that by bloodline and birthright they're the popes, and having services where they crowned others as pope. And there were no foreigners in this service. They were all Moors, giving and receiving the status of pope. Giving and receiving the status of pope. This happened at North America in 2016. And they have a succession plan in place. So they have a whole bunch of young people who were wearing the garb as well, but they didn't have the crowns on yet because they had not ascended yet. So they have a succession plan. So don't let these ones coming in here talking that trash fool you into thinking that the wake up ain't real. It's real. It's real. They want to pretend like it's not. They saw this happen. We didn't see it. We didn't know. We just found out in the last 2 or 3 days. We found this out. And you know what? The news didn't cover it, quote unquote, because they can't cover it. They can't cover it. It's not their story. They're not supposed to cover it because the word cover is a jurisdictional term. Okay. So, just one moment. Let me get rid of that. So, the ones who did this ceremony, we want to send our honor. They know who they are. We've purchased some of their stuff when we were asleep. When we were in our waking up stage, we purchased some books by some of them, some of the heads of that. Yes, I will share a link to this particular event. I'll share a link to it. But my point being that don't think that those actors didn't know this was happening. They knew this was happening. They knew that the Moors knew they were the popes. They knew that. But they weren't going to say a word. They weren't going to say a word. And this is not even the only situation like this where, you know, Moors have proclaimed their sovereignty and their nobility and all of that. They proclaimed it and in such a huge manner, and nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. Just one moment. Let me pull that up. Here it is. Just one moment. If you think that those ones that come into this meeting and attempt to throw you off, because see, they can't throw us off. We can see. They're attempting to throw you off. All we can say is don't let them, because everything has already taken place. Our authority, our sovereignty, everything has already taken place. Hopefully you can see that in the chat. I just put it in the chat, the link in the chat. So listen, they can't do nothing with y'all. They can't handle you. They can't handle you. They ain't got nothing for you. They don't want no smoke. They don't want any of that. Because this happened in 2016. That Moors were waking up and knowing that they are the law, they're the government. Now, let me say this about this whole thing too, and even about the churches, because see, my father was a bishop also. Something that none of them knew, none of us knew. We didn't know this. We didn't put two and two together and come up with the right answer. If you have the authority, any preachers, anyone, if you had the authority to marry two people together, because see, that's a court action. That's a legal action. If you had the authority to do that legal action, what makes you think you didn't have the authority to do any other legal action? Like dismissing a ticket and saying that it's fraud or whatever. What makes you think you didn't have the authority to do that? Programming.
Islam.
I'll say that. Islam, Empress.
Because usually in the enactment during that court action in particular, they would end it by the power vested in me in the state of Washington or the state of California, in the state of New York. They would make that statement, right? Yeah. But they would first start with saying by the power vested in me. But then we have to end that with by the supreme authority instead of the state of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But we stating by the power vested in me as we open the Congresses and state the power vested in us because we recognize our authority. Yeah. We declare and make a decree this, that, and the third.
Yes.
That's where the apocryphation and the fraud took place, because when they would make the statement by the power vested in me in the state of such and such, that's where the fraud crept in.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, Empress. Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
That ought to tell us right there that we're the law and we're the government. If my father could vest that two people be a legal union, then we can vest that we're not a legal union with fakes and fraud. It's all we had to do was think. All we had to do was think.
More excuses, no specifics means you're full of shit. Full of shit.
Be quiet. All we had to do was think. They don't want you thinking. because you can mute them when you think. And every one of us has that authority. Every one of us has the authority, the legal authority to make things happen for us, or to say this is fraud, or to say this is real, this is true. But see, now it's all over the place. There has been an attempt to mute this type of power and authority and the manifestation thereof. These brothers here, I'll just say that they are related to the brothers who are Run DMC, the rappers. These are relatives of theirs. So some folks knew some stuff. They knew some stuff, and we honor the work that they did. It is our turn now to keep doing what we're doing. Why do you think they keep changing the numbers on the videos and saying, oh, only 500 people watched it in one day, or only 1,000 people? That's not even true. I saw the real numbers. I screenshotted them. I screenshotted the real numbers under one of our videos, and it was only 3 days, and it was 50,000 something. And then they flipped it back over.
Islam. Because it gives the appearance thereof of what they want it to be rather than what it is in the truth. So they try to veil and cover, quote unquote, something that they can't cover. But it's already done. It's already done. It's already done.
Listen, they're trying to fool y'all. They're not trying to fool themselves. They already know it's a wrap.
You're right.
We know it's a wrap. They're trying to fool the ones that don't know. The ones that say, well, what Light is saying that can't be true, or what you're saying can't be true because blah, 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 blah. We don't have our money. Yes, we do. Well, yes, we do.
Because the power is vested in who? The people. Yes. And that is that part.
And see, people don't realize that. And they're not going to show you.
They can if they try.
So now we're showing each other. We're showing each other. The place that this took place was a huge place, and it was packed. It was people everywhere, and 2016. Like, how come we didn't hear anything about this? Because it was supposed to stay a secret until we put it out there. Now, the ones who did this are going to have to declare their nationality. They're going to have to do that so that they don't miss the boat on the Fiat piece, because there was, during this ceremony, they were raised, of course, the plate was being passed about the Fiat, especially near the end of the video. The plate was being passed with the Fiat, and but they are going to have to declare their nationality, and then they're going to have to stop using the Fiat because it's not real. But we honor their presentment, their demonstration that they did. Again, it was a year after the fake one came and threw the hat in the ring, threw it down, and said that's not who he is. He was an actor, acting like a pope. The real popes are here, you, us. They knew that. They don't want you to know who you are. They don't want you to know They know already. So my point being, the fact that most of us, let me just ask, is there anyone at Congress today who knew that this took place in 2016?
Islam. I heard my youngest daughter's grandfather, he's passed on, he was a bishop, Bishop Henny. He traveled a lot. And he sat me down at the kitchen table and he says, I need to share some information with you. So he began speaking similar to what you're talking about and presenting now. I didn't quite grasp it because that was 2012, I think it was. I sat with him in LA at his house because the man travels so much. There's a school in Liberia named after this bishop. And he says to me, a lot of things is getting ready to change.
Yes.
He said, I'll just keep it there and you'll see some things come forth. And he left it right there for me, Islam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Islam, I'll just say quick that at that time I was taking care of, as a home health aide, a lady who was gung-ho about the Catholic faith and religion. And my memory does serve me, I had to sit and watch along with her something like this at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But that was before I knew what I know now.
Yes. So the word Catholic in all lowercase letters has a different definition than Catholic with a capital C. Catholic in all lowercase letters just means universal. It just means universal. And just like Empress Shasha pointed out, the term Ka means soul. Ka means soul. Catholic. Catholic. It just means the universal souls. Islam Empress, nobility. Excuse me.
I can remember seeing the video, well, before I wake up. And, one of the things in the video, all the popes was getting titles to certain estates, but at the time I didn't know what they was talking about, but now I do now.
Yes. The moment the actor, see, that's the point of all of this, is that the actors, they know it's over. They knew it was over a long time ago. They just didn't want us to know. And so many other things such as this. See, those Moors that are on the screen, who know who they are, by the way, those Moors don't know that we've done, well, I can't say they don't know because they might, knowing what I know about how the information about Delarium has gotten out earthwide. Moors at Japan and Thailand and China and all of these other places, Africa, everywhere, they know about Delarium. All of them know about Delarium, and most have printed out Delarium for themselves. Their thing is, okay, let's continue to know how to use our money. Know how to use our money. And they're not, by the way, in the chat, they're not white. They're not white. They're not white. They're black. They're black. So this was a 100% Moorish. This happened on July the 8th, 2016, by the way. 1 year later, after the actor did what he did and acted out, the offices were symbolically transferred back to the North American Moors on July 8, 2016, the office of Pope. And these Moors, in their spirit, they knew it.
Islam?
Islam. Oh, sorry. Islam.
Noble Phoenix and then Empress Angel.
You said it was done symbolically. How was that demonstrated symbolically?
When I say symbolically, here's what I mean. Symbolically, because they were not declaring their status. They didn't declare their status. They did declare that they know that they're the popes because we're all the popes. But they're still okay. I want to ensure that we continue to honor what they demonstrated. There was Fiat pushed heavily at the end, and that means that is symbolic. It can only be symbolic unless people know who they really are. It's only when we know who we really are and we're in our proper person that it's actually real. Real, really real. I mean, I'm not saying that what they did isn't real. It is real. But our nationality must be first and foremost in everything that we do. We can't push their agenda, and their agenda is Fiat, period. That's their agenda. Their agenda is Fiat. They don't care what you say. They don't care what you say if you're pushing Fiat. They don't care what you're saying. You can say you're
Pauline, you're responsible for Aisha's eviction, Pauline. Are you going to accept that?
They don't care what you say, just like we don't care what they say. They don't care what you say as long as you're pushing Fiat. Now, I will say this about these honorable men. These honorable men had the right, they had the right energy, but they themselves are looking for a way out of the Fiat. That we know for sure. They must remove the Fiat from what they're doing also. They know that.
Because Aisha won't have any more debt because they're kind of clamoring for it even to this day. I saw a video by one of the ones who ascended in this ceremony the other day, and the Fiat. We must get away. We've got to introduce what we're doing to everyone. We must introduce more sovereign dolarium and gold and silver to everyone, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Empress Angel, Islam. I yield.
So, gratitude. So can you please explain how this correlates with Great Britain and the Crown, and from that perspective? Because I know it has something to do with that as well.
Oh, of course, of course. So the Crown and the Vatican are synonymous. They work together. The Crown, because see, the Crown and the Vatican
and then DC in the enactment, that was what the 3 stars stood for at DC on DC's flag from the last era. The fiat that was taken in over here was made its way to the Crown and the Vatican by way of DC. So all of the fiat that was taken in over here made its way over there. And so this particular enactment, this ceremony that they had, took place in the Fiat state, as it were, which is state of New York. State of. So as long as people are doing things in that state, and when I say that state, I'm talking state of mind, as long as fiat is being pushed back and forth, what they're doing can't be real. It can't be real. Islam nobility.
Chief Justice Frank Hill, fiduciary, checking in.
Great rising, love you too, and glad to hear your voice. Just love it.
Mute myself.
Indeed. Indeed.
Did you finally sober up, Frank?
Just a moment.
Did you finally get sober?
Just a moment. So, this particular enactment, this particular ceremony is also symbolic. It is sending a message to to all actors that were acting as the Crown, the Vatican, and all of that. It sends a message to them that we know who we are and that the real Vatican and the real Crown is here. That is the purpose of that. The things that we have done, in terms of the judicial piece and the Congress piece and all of that, is also sending the message that we don't need actors to act like they're us, because we are us. So that's all. Yes, Justice Sha'ala, thank you for that, stated in the chat that it was just reclaiming the head. That's all we're all doing. But see, at some point, the fiat had to go away. And someone had to be bold enough to do it. And all of us, we've done that. Someone had to get rid of that thing.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
So, yes, absolutely. But going back to the symbolism of this enactment, it could only be symbolism because of the jurisdiction. And that,
right.
So it could only symbolize, like you say, but because of the fiat and because it's a fiat jurisdiction.
Does Aisha have her shit packed? Because she's.
Go ahead, Empress.
Some point, as you state, the fiat will go. It will go because they cannot continue.
And in reality, it's gone already. But they go out. Let me restate that. The preachers and things go out among the flock and just pull as much fiat as they can from them.
Right.
Because they need it.
And that's it. So they let me. I'm going to hush. I'm going to yield.
Go ahead. No, Empress, go ahead, because it has to be stated. It has to be stated.
Which really makes it, they need it, yet they know the truth.
Yes.
And so we must peel back the eyes and see that's why it can only be symbolic. It is it's a representation.
Yeah.
But and because they are representing, because in fiat you can't. That is all you can do.
Is represent. You can't.
You can't.
Because at the end of the day, your master is going to be the fiat.
That's it. And so, yes, we have to. I'm working on my diplomatic skills.
Thank you, Empress. We all need to.
I am working on it, but that's it. That is it. And we have to. You know, I think about the word symbol, the instrument, the symbol.
Yes.
Makes a noise.
Yes.
So this was making a noise.
Oh, yes, it did. It was very powerful. It was a very powerful demonstration.
And but it was cloaked by the fiat.
But it was cloaked by the fiat.
And so.
And see, they know that. They can feel it in their spirit. They just don't know what the alternative is. That's where we come in.
And yes. And that's why that's why you're seeing it now.
Yes.
And everything is in divine order. The time is right.
Yes.
Islam. I want to jump in on you all, if I may. There's a saying that goes, symbol without substance. We have the substance.
Yes.
They have the symbolism. Now, I made also an observation as you were moving the photo. I was looking for any females who are popes. I know this is all males. What is that?
That means this is actually the end of the patriarchal era.
Thank you.
That's what this is.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for saying that, because I was dying to, but I forgot when I working on those diplomatic skills are very hard.
It's not good. A bird needs two wings to fly.
And I said, okay, you're working.
Okay. A bird needs two wings to fly, a feminine and a masculine wing, for it to take flight. So, Jehovah's Witnesses, where are the women? I ask them all the time, where are the women elders? And they all stop talking to me. Where's the women? But Islam, I'll yield the floor.
They just want in your panties, Pauline. They just want in your panties.
Because we recognize fiat, and the fiat moves the woman.
Yeah.
Or cloaks the woman, because the woman is always there. They can't be there without the woman.
Right.
Even if she may be hidden in the back. But it's all out now. It's all out now. And the fact that you state it's the end of the patriarchal. So this is actually, it's great symbolism for that too.
Yes, it is. It is. See, when the fiat goes, all of that stuff is going to go by the wayside, simply because of who's presenting the answer to that. The answer to fiat is being presented by the matriarchs. That's plural. That's all of us.
Right.
It's energy.
Yep.
That in and of itself will stand on its own 2 feet.
Yep.
We don't have to say it. We don't have to, so many times, and since we're on that topic, so many times, and matriarchs, don't push me out for saying this, but so many times I hear matriarchs who are bipolar when it comes to our sons, where 1 minute, they can't keep their hands off the sons, but the next minute they're, presenting some energy that says that they don't even like men. And that comes from the same energy. That's the same energy as fiat energy. Fiat energy pretends to be wealth, but it's not. And so we must what we are doing and presenting and demonstrating is truth in the matriarchy. Truth.
Our money is truth.
Yes.
We don't have to do things for money that we wouldn't normally do where men are concerned, because it's our money. It's our money. It belongs to all of us. All of us. And it's being presented by the matriarchs. I'm not saying it's not being presented by the patriarchs, but I'm saying this go round, this era, the matriarchs have come up with the answer. All of us. This Congress has come up with the answer to the issues. We have the answer. And the ancestors have shown us where it cannot fail. It can't fail. It's impossible for it to fail, for what we're doing to fail. And that we will continue to demonstrate over the next few Congresses. We're putting together a presentment, and it's a very plain, simple, presentment. It's not anything grandiose, because Fiat is not grandiose. They just tried to make it look like it was. But it's just a simple piece of paper, really, when you think about it. So,
Islam, on that note,
yes.
Little becomes much in the hands of the master.
Ooh, ooh, that is so true.
Yes, Mom.
That's so true.
May I make a quick statement to the males, to the patriarchs?
Yes.
For those patriarchs that don't know, that in your body, in our bodies, we also carry what is called the mitochondria.
Yes.
For us males who don't know what the mitochondria is, it's an organ, it's a battery, and that organ comes from our mother. So don't feel a certain way. I mean, you're going to feel it, but that, oh, women are going to rule. No, women are going to bring the balance, the cool.
Yeah.
The matriarchs, they're going to bring the cool. It doesn't mean we don't have a voice. It doesn't mean we don't have vision. It doesn't mean we're less than. It just means that now we have a whole bird with both wings now. Islam, I yield the floor.
Indeed. Indeed. And yes, we do rule. However, it's not an uncomfortable rule. It doesn't make others uncomfortable. It's a very
Islam.
I don't want to say it's such a sweet rule, because that's not the word I'm looking for. That word is inadequate, but it's
Islam.
It's close. Islam, nobility.
The word that I'm thinking of is just simply balance.
Yeah.
And harmony.
Yes. Yes.
Islam.
Islam, nobility.
Yeah, I'm thinking the word is a very supportive rule.
That's a good word too. Islam, Empress. I just knew Empress Sasha was going to say something. What is it, Empress Sasha?
I would say the rule is in alignment with the divine. It is in the natural order of things.
Yes.
It is the way it is. It was created to be, and that is, everything is in its place.
Oh yes, that's beautifully stated. Of course, beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. There was another emperor, a noble, who was going to make a statement. So I just wanted to, I had no, Islam Empress.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I just recently learned that George Washington was considered swarthy.
Yes.
So when you look at those notes, and we talk of fiat money, there's proof right there that is fiat. Who is that person on that note?
Right.
Everyone's been worshiping.
Right.
Islam.
Truth. And so was Benjamin Franklin. The people at England know that. They know. They have a place dedicated to Benjamin Franklin over there. And they have a big wooden image of him. And he's just as brown as he can be over there at England. They know all of this. Again, there was an attempt to keep the information from us. Everyone else already knows. I had not intended on spending this much time on these photos, but I did want to make it clear that, again, everyone knows we are in charge. We are ruling. Everyone knows that. We know it. Everyone knows it. This is not a secret to the rest of the earth. So whenever there are the Moors who are acting like they don't know and they're challenging you, you can show them all of this information about how we're the popes and we're the justices, we're all of that. And some of them still ain't going to get it because they don't think that they have the authority to do those things. So it's all really about their own self-image. Self-image. This is what the 40-something documents was about also, is making it so that when Moors do things like this, all we have to do is affirm what they've done and it becomes real. In other words, when the people agree on something and we say, yes, these are our popes, then it becomes truth. Except we don't say that about anyone unless the fiat piece is taken care of. And that's the only issue that we have with any behaviors, any actions on the land ever, is if it's pushing fiat, then that has to change. But we're grateful that they know who they are. We're very grateful that they know who they are. We've put it on the public record that all of us are the popes.
Islam?
Yes, Islam.
Brother Love trying to get in.
Okay, Islam. So with that being stated, remember what we say at the beginning of our court actions about our ascension. We accept our sovereign ascension. That is truth. With that being stated, as I was watching this, I just kind of watched different parts of it. I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through. But as I was watching this, I came across this by looking at some of Reverend Ike's videos. Reverend Ike from the 70s and the 80s. Reverend Ike knew who he was. He knew who he was, but the fiat piece. He was actually used by that previous system to...
Are any of you popes going to take in Aisha at the Vatican?
He was used, Reverend Ike was used to spread the fiat out again after...
Aisha's going to need a place to live?
After 1971. In 1971, when Nixon, quote unquote, did the enactment of removing the fiat from the gold standard, which it never was on the gold standard, so that was just an act also. The preachers were used, all preachers were used to spread the fiat back out again, because they changed the way it looked after that too. That's something people don't realize, is that every time they go bankrupt, they change the way the fiat looks all over again. And people don't realize that, but that is the truth. So, you know, and that's why the modern ones absolutely just loved Reverend Ike. They helped push his message out earthwide. They had him going to Dubai and to this place and to that place and all over Africa. He went everywhere spreading the message. And the message was a good message, but the fiat piece was still there. It was he taught some awesome, amazing things about who we are, but the fiat piece was there, and so that was the only issue that we had with his message, is the fiat piece. But we have that issue with everything and everyone. It doesn't matter who it is, and really our issue is not with people; it's with the fiat piece. So, with that being stated, the word for the day regarding who we are, our nouns determine whether our verbs matter or not. Okay?
The word is eviction.
So, our nouns determine whether our verbs matter or not. See, they talked about pronoun this and pronoun that. They talk about pronouns and pronouns and pronouns. No. The nouns, the status of your noun. A noun, for example, a name is a noun.
Is a verb.
Subject is a noun. Clown is a noun. Those are nouns. The status of your noun determines whether your verbs matter or not. You can use any verb or any noun, but the status of the noun is going to determine whether that verb means anything. In other words, your status determines whether what you do matters or not. The photos that we just showed you, it's a beautiful demonstration. Beautiful demonstration. What is the status of those demonstrating that? What's the status of it, of those demonstrating? We know the status by the use of the exchange mechanism. That's how we know the status of those. Is what are they using? And that's not a criticism, it's a fact. That goes for everyone, everywhere. So we're not criticizing anyone for even using it, because it's gonna change. It's going to change. That's gonna happen. Islam nobility.
Islam. I'm just looking at the thing, the question that you're asking. This would be a noun because of the fiat that they're using.
Say again, nobility.
Says this would be a noun because of the fiat they're using.
Yes. Yes. That's what makes it a because of the fiat is what corrupts what they're doing. Okay, they're not corrupt. The fiat is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing. I mean, they should be knowing and stating that they're the popes. Everyone should be doing that. All Moors.
This is why we say it's the fiat was causing the from a noun to a verb.
It means that when they say pope, is it a real pope or not? Is it a real pope or not?
Islam,
Empress.
Basically, what you're saying is, what is your name?
Yes.
Their name is black because of the fiat. It's not a living name. It's not, and so that is absolutely, they cannot. And I'm not, they cannot walk as Pope with fiat. And that's, there it is. There's no verb. You cannot move as black.
Nope, you can't.
And that's where the fiat corrupts absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Islam Empress, can you open the meeting for Leon and Jay, or did you already do it?
It's open now, Nobility. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
See, we can't do their work for them. And when I say them, I mean that system from the last era, the fiat system. It's not even proper for us to push fiat for them. It's not proper. It's not, it doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you this too. Even these Moors who know that they have the authority to state that they are the popes, even those Moors will have to take off that garb after a while, because that system is not going to let them be the pope and the fakes be the pope too. The system won't let that happen. According to unum sanctum policy, they can't do it. They can't continue that way. According to unum sanctum, they can't continue. Unum sanctum says there cannot be two heads of the church because it creates a monster. That's
Where's Aisha?
Policy.
Where's Aisha?
That's according to unum sanctum. And unum sanctum is a papal bull. It's a papal bulletin that we have restated. And so we state that as they wake up, they are the popes. We've already said that about all Moors. And that old system has to go. What they did, the action that they did is a verb. They stated their authority. That's what they did. They stated their authority.
But then they put the brakes on.
But then they
Yep.
That it can't be that way. It cannot be that way. Even according to the black codes don't let you state that you're the authority and still be in that other system.
Everybody say goodbye to Aisha.
Everybody in that old system, in that dead system, who pretends to be authority, always gets shown that they are not publicly. For example, those Moors.
Pauline is responsible for her eviction.
Those Moors who are in that system, who are calling the subject Donald Trump into court, they're trying to show them that they're not the head in that system too.
Fuck off, Pauline. You're.
You know what I'm saying? Here we show that we are who we are. We demonstrate that all the time. Just like we do.
You're 100% responsible.
When we boot and mute, we're showing that we're the authority. Even on this platform, we're the authority. They don't want that to be known, but the fact that they're here says
you're a fraud, Pauline.
The fact that they keep coming says we're the authority. That's actually proof that what we're stating is truth.
Exactly.
That's proof. Every time they open their pie hole, it's proof. It's proof. So again, only subjects will come in and act like that. Only subjects would do that. Nobility wouldn't do that. That's how they prove their status. So a couple of questions.
You want so badly to be white, Pauline. You just make people sick. You want so.
Ooh, I should have let that keep going. He said we make them sick. Oops. That's a spell. We affirm.
Hello.
We affirm that.
I second.
Yeah. That's by his own words. So here's some basic information, basic questions.
Because you're a fucking ugly cunt. That's why you make me sick, you dumb bitch.
Have you ever written an affidavit stating your nationality? And see, some are going to think that these questions are not
loser.
If you have ever written an affidavit stating your nationality, then you automatically, if you know that what you stated was truth, then you've already given your own self support. You've already given yourself support. You have all the support you need by your affidavit. Have you created your own birth certificate and identification card? Because you can do that. Again, we're the popes, we're the government, we're the law, we're the motor vehicle department, we're all of ministry, we're all of that. So yes, we create our own everything. Have you ever verbally proclaimed your nationality? If you have done even one of these actions, specifically starting with the first one, written an affidavit stating your status and your nationality, I would suggest that everyone go back and read your nationality affidavit if you feel like you don't have support, if you feel like there are no Moors in this territory, and la 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 la, and then go look in the dictionary and see what the word sovereign means. The word sovereign does not require 50 people around you pushing you forward and going, yay, you know, you're the Moors and this and that. And of course we support one another. That's why we're here. We all are here supporting each other.
Islam,
Empress.
One cannot stand without support. And first you remember, your limbs are your members. So by virtue of remembering and standing, you are supported by self.
Look at that word. Look at that word. The word support.
Yep, that's not support. That's not under. That's on
up.
Not under. You are. Yeah, that's it.
That means that when you port yourself back to ancient Morocco, you have the support. Get that right first. Put yourself back on the land first. And then you will know that you have support because you will have supported yourself.
And as you know, Islam, as looking at this, the movements in the past that have been a part of our people's lives, this is why they've always been corrupted and led nowhere, aside from the fact that they were Fiat, but everyone was looking to be supported by someone, something else.
Yes. Looking outside of themselves.
Looking out, right.
Or something that's within them.
Within the temple, the port, the everything. Everything is within.
These words have verbs in them. Port and reign are verbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there was a question put in the chat a little earlier about Moors not having support in the territories. You literally generate your own support. Here's the thing. Support comes when you reach out to others. That's where your support comes from. You have to reach out to others, whether it be in this format, in this forum, this Congress, or start your own, because many of the Moors who are at this Congress have their own things that they do, you know, classes, meetings, you know, and things of that nature. And so they've created their own support system right around them. See, sometimes Moors will come on into Congress and say they don't have any support and they don't have this and that. What have you done to create support where you are? What have you done to create that where you are if you feel like you don't have it? See, someone else having support is not other people's issue. It's not your issue if someone else says they don't get any support from the Moors. That's whoever is saying that, it's their issue, because all they have to do is create support for themselves. Support is something you create. That's not something somebody throws in your lap. Support is because you're sovereign. You create everything that you feel is necessary, that you will to create. You create that
But you must first support yourself. You must first get on your own feet and stand.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're looking for someone to lift you.
Yes. And that's not anyone else's responsibility.
That is it. Remember that it's your own, what is the saying? Everyone must worship at their own vine and fig tree.
Yes. First
and foremost. Vines vine and wander and wind and join and but first that root must be cultivated by you.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And that might sound a little harsh, but it's really not harsh. It's actually a very loving thing to say, is stand on your own 2 feet.
It's the only way you can continue to stand when you stand.
Yes.
That's
why the ancestors test us the way they do. They always test us by ourselves.
Thank you. I know.
We do know that.
Right. Exactly.
Islam, I find it interesting that you're saying that now, because the harder the test, and I'm experienced this test, you either pass the test, because steel sharpens steel. The harder the test, the stronger you will be.
Yes.
For me. Yes. Yes. I'm boots on ground with the people. So I've always been that kind of being among the people, on the land. Chat, talking, listening, learning from them and them from me. So they see my face, they hear what's coming out of my spirit, and they begin to wake up slowly in this location, in this territory, Islam.
We are the only people who must stand sovereign first and support ourselves first. We're the only people who have that responsibility of saving ourselves first, and then we can assist others. Because no one else can save themselves. If they're not of the bloodline and birthright, they can't save themselves. They don't know how. They don't have what it takes to save themselves. That's why we're called the saviors. The popes, the law, the government, any office where someone would come for assistance, we're that office. We are that. We are the officers for that office. So, again, this is just a statement about support, more saying that they don't have support. We must hold up a mirror to you. We must hold up a mirror and say that statement again, that you don't have support. Say that in the mirror and let the mirror answer back. Either you want to govern your own vast estate or you're going to let somebody else do it. See, people always want to talk about they want to do their own banking and they want to do this and they want to do that. But do you really want to do that? Or is it a will to do? There are people out there that don't mind governing other folks' estate. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I don't want to govern your estate. I will if the ancestors say will to do that until you're able to do it yourself, but that's not something that that's not on our agenda. We got a bunch of stuff on our agenda. That ain't one of them. But when we hear more saying things like, "Oh, I don't have any support," and I'm not making fun of you, but that's what it sounds like coming from a sovereign. It sounds crazy coming from a sovereign. Meanwhile, there are others who wish they were sovereign. So we would suggest that you go back and read. And if you've not done any of these, go ahead and do at least one of them. Write an affidavit stating your nationality, or go get an affidavit and fill it out stating your nationality, or verbally proclaim your nationality. With that being stated, do you trust, believe, and know that what you stated and wrote in your affidavits is the truth and the law? If you've ever written a nationality, if you've proclaimed your nationality on paper, were you telling the truth or were you lying when you said you were sovereign? We affirm that you were telling the truth. Do you know that what you stated was the truth when you stated it? We affirm that you're truthful. You are sovereign. I'm going to pause the meeting for just a moment, not the meeting, but pause the recording for just a moment to show you, well, maybe I'll just take it out of, I'll just take the video out. Yeah, I'll just take it out of the recording. But there's a 30-second video, and some may have seen this video. I had not seen it until recently, but we'll go ahead and show the video right now regarding contracts. And then we'll show the transcript of the video. Let me see if you can hear this. If you can, it'll start back over shortly. Just a moment.
I've seen this.
Yeah. I hadn't seen this video, Empress, and I'm trying to, let me just see if I can get the audio to share the audio with you.
It's a TikTok. It's a tendency to do that.
Yeah, I saw this the other day also.
Islam.
Last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah.
He was talking about proclaiming your rights to your name and stuff.
This is the video. I can't. The audio is not coming in, and that's okay. Because I wrote a transcript of what he said. But this is what he said. He said, "Well, it's not your game. You did not make the rules, so everything comes hard. As long as you're signed to a contract, you are going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well, the majority will not. So as a people," and he said he's talking about them, "will be considered a minority. But stop, let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You are the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight, I would like to ask one favor. Imagine what we will all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another." That's what he said. He is stating, and again, this was our first time seeing this. He was stating in the video, as he was accepting the award, he was telling us about the status of minor and majority. He was telling us that it is important that we create the rules that we live by, the laws that we live by. He didn't know how to come out of their capitalism, of fake capitalism. He didn't know how to do that.
That's true. Do you remember when he couldn't even use his own name?
Yes.
He created the symbol, and then he was giving away his music.
Yes.
He went through all of that because he knew, but he just did not know the way out.
He didn't know to do what we know to do.
Exactly.
And see, everybody out there is thinking the same thing. He chose to check out rather than disconnect from the contracts. He didn't know how. Most of those acting artists choose to check out because they don't know how to get out of the contracts the way that we've done.
I question whether or not he checked out, unless you're referring to him checking out and going and creating his symbol, because he created his own symbol so that he could. So if you're speaking of that piece, but if you're speaking of what they say happened to him, question that. This is my personal feeling in that regard. But because even in that same industry, many that they it has been said they left under nefarious or unnoble in an unnoble state. Much is coming out now that, as we say here, not in Augusta. Sam Cooke, for one, was actually taken out because he controlled his music. He had his own business, record business, and so there's a lot. But anyway, I digress. But I just wanted that to be
Islam.
Are
Most of the time, when people start to review the underrights in their contract and start to want to claim their identity and have the copyrights and the rights and the underrights written underrights for their contract and for the music and the royalties, they find scrutiny with their people that they sign the contracts with. Majority of the time, they leave their royalties to be free of everything and start from scratch, creating as the guys say, create their own game. So they leave all their royalties with their own contract and create their own game. That's the only way they can survive. Or if they want their royalties, we see most artists and most actors that ask for their royalties, and the right to the autograph, they all suddenly pass away or meet fearful accidents or in some form or somewhere. When people realize, the most artists that realize the copyrights of their name and take the copyrights of name and claim nationality, they're starting to set them crazy. Like, oh man, Kanye West, when he claims nationality, they say he was mad. Islam.
Well, that is they use the word insane because that is actually the proper term. Insane, that means he's hearing sounds from within him. That's why they say when you're here, are you hearing voices? Because they know we can hear our ancestors speak from within us. They know that. Insane just means sounds from within. Sane means sound. So that is actually one of the terms that they used because when we did our POW demonstration, that was the way that they said, okay, let her go. They claimed that there was some mental something going on, and they were right. Government was going on.
Islam. I'm chuckling here on the other side because I have ditto, same.
Those are the proper terms.
And those are the, you know, the thing was they wanted to walk me into an asylum, but that's another. But it's actually when we really see what's going on, they know. They know. You know, going back to the contract issue, the thing about it is, and we were trained to look for the contract from others. You're immediately underneath by signing someone else's contract.
Yes. Yes.
The whole idea about success, God, get a contract with the music industry or the whichever, when in fact somebody else created that. It's never, ever for your advantage. We create, we don't sign someone else's creation or form.
We don't. Something just occurred to me while you were speaking, Empress, because the ancestors had us to create some things this week that people regularly would sign because they thought it was theirs in the way of banking. They had us to create some things this week with that. Some checks.
Okay.
I'm feeling a certain type of energy when I say that. We can't sign anything by anyone else that's written by other people, no matter what it is. Because when we sign it, they take the name. They take the person.
The noun.
The noun.
Been corrupted.
They take ownership of it when you sign it onto their paper.
Because you've consented with that signature on something created, formed, because they can't create, by some other entity in another jurisdiction, another state, another status. We have fallen. At that point, you've fallen on your knees. We actually, at
That's a fell on knee. That is a fell on knee.
We right at that point.
When I think about what our ancestors did, Justice Wyndham L. says that's because they are the authors of that.
Exactly.
Which makes them the authority by our own granting of that.
Right. That's a crime.
That is a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime.
Crime.
We can't keep doing more. No, don't sign their stuff. Make your own. It can say exactly what theirs says, but make your own. That's what the ancestors are showing us, left and right, left and right. And you know what? When it says something similar and it looks similar to this, they can't say no because the system says yes. The system recognizes. That's what this is all about.
Remember, the system's been recognizing all of their.
Yes. And, Empress, you really be bringing the heat. That's the key right there. The things that they've been pushing was fraud for the system. The system does not want their stuff. The system wants our stuff.
Exactly.
It's our system. We can't counterfeit our own system.
Exactly. It makes me think of the divine. The divine does not see, it doesn't discriminate.
No, it does not.
It just does what it is to do.
Yes.
And that's what the system does. So
the system just does it.
And they knew they had all the keys to our system.
They created counterfeits to everything.
Exactly.
It's called counterfeit.
And it fits.
And their stuff was counter. Theirs is the counterfeit, not ours.
Theirs is against. Exactly.
Islam. They countered our system.
Yes.
By a fake, like in the Matrix movie, they saw the two black cats. They didn't know which one was the original cat. It was a copy. Like they copied the mother, the solar system. It's our system. True that.
Wow.
Islam.
Yes. Islam.
If we claimed all words resources, how could it ever be there? Letters.
Now that's very true. It wasn't there. That's what the rest of the world was trying to say.
That's right.
Yes.
Islam, and also we are the thing that makes it function. What they were trying to do was operate our system.
So they created counterfeits.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
The illusion.
All of their checks are counterfeit. All of their paper is counterfeit. All of it.
Islam. It makes me. I was watching the early part from Thursday, which I got knocked out, and I was listening, and Empress Angel was speaking on the LLC.
Yes.
And I was at my kitchen sink, and I had this epiphany, because LLC, no matter what it is or what they say it is not a word. And in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God. So there is no way that what is not a word can have any power aside from Fiat. And it still doesn't have power, because there is no power in Fiat.
Well, if you look at Fiat, it's going to have some abbreviation on it somewhere, even if it's just in the signature.
Well, that's it. So it's not. It's not a word. It's not
real.
the word. That's it. And that was really LLC, TEF, or whatever. Those are not
USA.
Words. USA. They are not words.
Those are not words.
Islam, and in us knowing who we are, we're the essence of everything. So we're the beginning and the end of everything. So nothing was never theirs. It's an illusion. So we have to cancel that out.
It's fake. It's
Out.
fake. The demonstrations that our ancestors are showing us is proving it repeatedly that and they knew it was fake, and they knew when the real showed up that we were going to do what we're doing. They knew that. And so even his contract, if Prince or any artist, and this is for the Moorish artists, if you have a contract that you're trying to get out of, this is how you get out of it and keep your benefits. Rewrite the contract yourself and say, this is the contract. It looks just like theirs, but it's yours because you wrote it. You authored it. That makes you the authority of your contract. And just know that you're the CEO, the head of the record company anyway. They don't eat without you. You just have to know that they don't eat without you.
Islam. James Brown figured that out. He was not the most literate, but he figured it out. The man couldn't even read.
He's from the country, so he knew.
He knew. James Brown. Look him up. For those who are, as your sister said, your artists. learn to write your own contracts. You guys have the internet. You young people have the internet. We didn't have the internet. Those who are, 50 and up, maybe 40 and up, we didn't have access to an internet then. You all have the internet, younger people. Go get your victory. Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
That's why it becomes knowledgeable, make it agreement, because he add his actions into it. His performance, what the contract should do for him, not what he did, what he's supposed to do for the contract, what the contract's supposed to do for him. The actions of the contract that he will benefit from. Yeah. And when you do the contract, you make an agreement, you put your terms in the contract, which is become an agreement on the conditions and the performance and the actions that the contract would do for you, not what you would do for the contract. Right. And that way you keep the identity, you keep your legis, which is a straw man, you keep everything to be all yours. Everything be all yours. They are held to you, not you're held to them. There's a difference.
And it's not really a straw man. A straw man doesn't have any substance. It's an ens legis. An ens legis is an actual creation.
We call it legis, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, all they have to do, anyone has to do is write their own everything, whatever it is. If you wanted to get Social Security, you could write your own. Just pull their application and rewrite it and send it in. But you must be the authority on what you write. You can't send it in pretending to be a servant to the contract. You must be the author and the finisher of the contract. No matter what it is. No matter what it is. You know, what I'm seeing also is that the ancestors are showing us, and we know this, but we're actually seeing the fruit of what we know now. In terms of, for example, if you had a lawsuit from the last era, just take whatever paperwork and documents that was from that and rewrite all of it, and then issue yourself the win. The justice for it. That goes for anything. If you were in the military and you did not get whatever you applied for when you got ready to get out, because some folks were, doing whatever, wanting disability checks and things. We're not disabled, but the minor can be. The all caps can be, because you're the fiduciary for that minor. It's a minor anyway. So a minor that's a disability in and of itself. It's an automatic disability to be a minor. So no matter what it is that you were wanting or willing, you could do that. However, we do know also that we really almost don't need those things because we have our own money. We almost don't need those things. But for those who don't know who they are, they're still going to have to know to write their own stuff because that other system is done, or the counterfeit system is finished. Subjects can write an affidavit. They can write an affidavit or something, and then the government will make the government's been making the decisions the whole time anyway. We've been making our own decisions the whole time. We just didn't know that's what we were doing whenever we signed things. Subjects can fill out an affidavit. They can do an affidavit or they can do an application, either one, because subjects can do what we were doing in the last era. Everything that we were doing in the last era, except they can, when you do it, you create your own. You can create your own too, as well. And then it will be up to whoever you send it to make that decision. The government is still going to be the government, which is us. We've always been the government.
Always been the government. We've always been the government. So with that being stated about the contracts and things, let's see. Let me just make sure. Okay. So he knew about contracts, and most of them know about contracts. And many of the artists are declaring their Moorish nationality, by the way. A lot of them are doing that nowadays. I wanted to show you also briefly. This is called a Whigamore. It's similar to a blackamoor. This is called a Whigamore. The Whigamore Party. Our Grand Sheikh Taj talks about the Whigamore Party. This is someone pretending to be the Moors on the bench. And the Moors were the elders, so they had gray hair, a lot of them. But this is, he's actually, the reason they make the wigs that color over there in the UK, they make them that color because they're acting out being the majority and not a minor.
Islam?
Islam.
The Whigamores, are they the ones who eventually, as far as political parties, the Whigamore Party, is that the one that eventually became the Democrat or Republic? Which was it?
Both.
Oh, they split off and splintered into two different groups, both Republican and Democrat, is what you're saying? Oh, okay.
Pretending like they were against each other when really they were working together.
One party.
Yep.
Yeah, which is what they are still today. Both sides of the aisle are still the same coin. You know, two sides of the same coin.
Well, we are both.
Yeah. Okay.
Islam. Tonis Bay and Khalifa territory. So when you look up the Whigamore Party, also be sure to look up the Know Nothings.
Yes.
And because the Whigamore Party became the Conscience Whigs and the Cotton Whigs. I think the Cotton Whigs were the Democrats and the Conscience Whigs became the Republicans. One of them.
Yeah.
But if you learn this, you will never vote in the so-called ritual they call voting, because that's not voting. Okay, and this whole story, the Whigamores, the Know Nothings, and everything around it tells you what goes on behind voting, which is really just a selective process for the dumbed-down public who doesn't know really what voting means. If it was an actual vote, there should be over 100 candidates. And it should be someone you know, not two people you don't like or know. Islam.
Yeah. The definition of the word vote will tell you, even in the definition, voting must be specific. It must be species oriented. That is why you're seeing so many brown-skinned folks that are now mayors all over the place, and governors and whatever else, judges and all of that, because everyone knows that that's a specific type of situation. Any vote you cast is like a spell. It's a spell. Remember, you vote when that whole thing was about names. And every time one of the sleepy-headed Moors voted for someone that was not specific to them, was not of their species, come on, and now I'm going to just have to tell the truth, they were validating them. They were validating them. Even Barack Obama.
Islam. That is that whole voting system is called a plebiscite.
Yes.
And it's really where the people think they're voting for something, it's already been predetermined.
Yes.
There's it doesn't matter whether you do or you don't. You have no say.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Islam.
Tony Spey again. The last thing about the wig that they're wearing, believe it or not, much like blackface, it's an attribute to us, really.
Yeah.
Because what that wig is, if you look at it, it's dreadlocks turned sideways.
Basically.
Look at it. Okay, so basically they got that from the elders that were there before, like you said, who were silver-haired, but they didn't want to be just like them, so, they did their cotton wig thing and turned it. Like the Luciferians, they always flip stuff around, Islam.
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 So let me just say the dread locks. That's
wow.
Actually, dread is a negative, actually. Now, of course, you could look at it and say, well, they were actually dreadfully afraid of the real true people who have that.
That's how I saw that, Empress, is whenever they saw those locks, they dreaded.
They dread, and that's. I'm seeing that as I'm actually speaking and stating right now, but it uses a negative, as in, but in truth, because
yes.
they did.
Yeah.
And that the texture and the color, of course, was to denote wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom
yes.
Power.
Yes.
And that's. Yeah. I yield.
Now tell me that they don't know who we are. Just somebody say that.
You can't.
Try it.
They know exactly. Hair like lamb's wool.
Come on now.
That's what I was fitting to say, Empress. Islam, because it kind of looked like a sheepskin on their head, like the wool, and we have woolly hair, and so they're trying to enact. They say flattery is the best form of trying to copy is the best form of flattery.
Yeah, imitation is the best form of flattery.
That part, yes. So that's what they're trying to, invoke and enact, and they pretend to be justice. So, because, it's just a whole cockamamie.
Calling in the ancestors.
Yes, indeed. Let's move to in alignment with all of that, because we know that judges are bankers, right? We're all bankers. In alignment with what we just spoke about, knowing that all of us are the real justice. The ancestors have been making it very clear to us that wealth is very simple. It's very, very simple. There are 3 parts to wealth. And when those 3 parts are put together and we govern those 3 parts properly, there's nothing we cannot have, there's nothing we can't create, there's nothing we can't do. There's no thing that we can not do. Double negative in the sentence. We can do all things. The first part.
Oh, Islam, and there's nothing too hard for God. That one too.
Of course, yes. Yes, indeed. Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, mentions, it talks about honoring the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of thy increase. When Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, talks about thy substance, it meant that those words are specific. That means it has to be something real. We honor ourselves with our own substance because, we're the lords of everything. It's becoming even clearer to me, and I'm just searching for words here because I want to say things properly. It's becoming even clearer to me just how simple and blatant our wealth really is. The three parts to wealth is first and foremost the spiritual wealth, the wealthy mind, the mindset. That is a mindset of a majority and not a minor. It's of the majority. The spiritual wealth mindset and system is cultivated is cultivated in spiritual settings, such as this Congress. This Congress is a spiritual setting. It's a spiritual place. It's a spiritual jurisdiction. And so the wealth mindset is cultivated here. And this is not the only place. It's cultivated at other places too, but this is one. In the last era, the poverty mindset was cultivated, and we're not mad at churches and Christians, and we're not mad at any of that, but we are going to tell the truth. The poverty mindset was cultivated in churches and spiritual organizations and belief systems, simply by the fact that we were being told that God is outside of us and that we have to plead and pray to him and hope he do something for us, hope he does something for us. That's a poverty mindset. That is the hinge of the poverty mindset, is that you have to go outside of yourself to be wealthy. The second part of wealth, which is very simple, is the naturally wealthy, lawful identity piece. Knowing who you are. Knowing who you are, naturally, you'll automatically know, oh, everything already belongs to us when you know who you are. That's part of the wealthy mindset. That's why it was hidden. And then the third part is the legal system for the wealth to circulate, because wealth must circulate. It must circulate. And it has to circulate specifically. And that's why our subjects had to be stated as subjects, so that the wealth could circulate among them as well, because they would be naturalized. That's what naturalization is all about. So for us, our internal revenue financial court systems is the way that our wealth circulates. We're going to, and we've stated this previously, we're in the process of getting other avenues to circulate our wealth, as many avenues as possible. We've already started circulating our wealth when Moore started sending in Dolarium every month as a donation to us, which we're so grateful for. We're absolutely grateful for that, because it is energy and it's specific to us. We're even wealthier because the Moors have chosen to donate every month to us in Moor sovereign Dolarium and gold and silver. Our legal system that we have created, and see, again, it goes back to what we were talking about with everything that we talked about, really, but the popes, the Moorish popes, who have stated on the record that they know they're the popes, the wealth that is contained within that office will come to them, but it is specific. So they must be of the proper and correct species. They must declare who they are, really, because they can't do it in a system that's not specific to them. And I know they are aware of that, or else they wouldn't have demonstrated so beautifully. They know that it's about them and their species. They just haven't gotten, they don't see the way with the other part. However, the church, and this is why we absolutely just love the church, the church is going to be one of the main places where our Mors Savandalarium circulates the quickest, the fastest. They're going to be the fastest place because so many of us were in there. That is where nationality is going to really be known, because they're going to wonder where this money came from. It's coming from the government. Who's the government? Everybody circulating that. So we're absolutely we know that the system has cleared out and cleaned up in preparation for us doing what we're doing and the circulation of our own money. That's another reason we were absolutely excited to see that the Moors declared that they're the popes, because we know that that's going to be one of the main places where the circulation of the wealth is going to be the same as it was in the last era. The system is already set up with Moors at the head of everything. It's already set up. It's already done. All we have to do is continue doing what we're doing. So creating the avenues, the supply lines, the Silk Road for all that we're doing, it's already being done. It's already done, really. We stated, and see, they knew we were going to make the head be the real head. They, the system knew that. And so the system just let everyone know, everyone willing to take their place on the throne, everyone, that's all of us, that the system would say, yes, you can do that, because it's our system. So in, I would say probably a couple of weeks, we'll do our first presentment. And again, it's a simple presentment. It's just going to be very simple. Not going to be anything grandiose, or seemingly why do they call it the naked eye? The naked eye is not clothed with wisdom if you can't see what we're really doing. So Islam nobility.
I would have said the naked eye was representative of something that is not obscured. It's plain. It's simple. It's clear. As in, naked body is not loaded down, with clothing and with things that obstruct what it really is. So the naked eye sees reality, sees truth.
Yeah.
That's the way I would describe the naked eye, Islam.
Yeah, indeed. So the simplicity of wealth, and actually that's what we're looking at wealth with, is the naked eye. In that manner, it's very simple. It's spiritual, natural, and legal. Those three things, those three jurisdictions, and those actually they're all one jurisdiction. In the previous era, these three parts that are wealth in her entirety were kept separate so that clarity would not occur. This is the new era, and each part has manifested in us, for us, by us. The manifestation is rising within continuously and perpetually. So the ancestors have made it clear that spiritually we had to be prepared for the wealth. Spiritually we had to be prepared, and we are. Because wealth is a different energy. It's a different energy. It's very different than what we experienced in the last era. It actually requires more discipline than we exercised in the previous era. It requires discipline. Discipline just, and that discipline is not difficult, it's easy. Discipline is not, it actually comes naturally for us. So, Islam, Empress.
It's realization that we're speaking on this now, because I was sitting and meditating and pondering on things a lot earlier today, and I hadn't penned a poem in some time, but if I may share this one, it's titled Significant.
Okay.
And it reads, everything is significant and is worthy of attention with intention. Everything over time has lost true meaning to denote its significance. Trauma mixed with fear has closed off people and their ability to hear and accept correction. Their inability to see what they do is significant. Stop being addicted because trauma, pain, and fear. When we stop and examine our actions and go deep and find truth, significance, we would challenge and change our behaviors and take what was an addiction and honor it and bring it back the significance.
Islam. Wisdom there. Wisdom. Even one letter. We affirm, indeed. Even one letter is significant. Just one letter, significant. Whether it's a capital letter or a lowercase letter, is significant. Isn't that true? We've learned that's part of the mindset, the wealthy mindset. Everything matters. Everything matters. Islam. Beautifully stated, Empress. Beautifully stated.
Gratitude.
Islam. All that we've written, all of the documents that we've written, everything that we've done has been in preparation to access our vast estate and the wealth of it. Our ancestors meant for us to learn first how to receive wealth, learn first how to create wealth, learn first how to use it, how to access it. Prove that we are the majority mindset and not the minority mindset. That comes from demonstrating who we are. The wealthy mindset is demonstrated by the maturity, the emotional maturity with which we view things and see things and receive things and give things and experience things. In our previous Congress, Empress Angel was talking about someone inboxing, saying, you know, if this was real, if this was real, this would be happening, and this and that. That mindset that cannot see, that's a poverty mindset. It's a poverty mindset when you can't see that you must know how to create wealth first, and then wealth appears. That's so. Poverty is left behind by the power in the wealthy mind. And I know that sounds cliquish and cliche-ish, but wealth and intelligence are one. They're the same. Wealth and intelligence are the same. Intelligence first in knowing ourselves And then once we know who we are, we're automatically going to create wealth. Automatically, it's a given. It's knowing who we are is the catalyst for wealth creation. Governing our words and the things that we say and state. Once we're doing that, once we've done that, which we have, that is proof that it's time for wealth to appear. And then we just create it. We create it. It's not coming from someone else. Wealth is not coming from any place other than us. Period. It's not. It can't. Because then it wouldn't be specific wealth.
Islam. When I had asked earlier when you was showing the beautiful demonstration of our sons doing the statement of the popes and such, and I'd asked the question for you to state rather the connection to Great Britain and the crown. I was more looking towards the point of when we asked the Congress, did the statement of the accepting the resignation of the acting crown and the death certificate of the acting queen, for the point of that we as the Congress, the people, the nation, the sovereign, the justices and such, has already acknowledged the enactment and took in the position of being that, and to the point of the treaty that is Great Britain and Morocco, or Morocco and Great Britain rather, and for that part concerning wealth and authority, and that also spills over enacting the Vatican and such, and pertaining to the part that when we had made those statements and did the stand on that, we have taken and noticed and given notice that the place in which they were holding, and as far as their enactment, because they were a placeholder, so they were holding that place, and we've accepted back our position, and also that we took notice and gave notice rather the fact that the paperwork that was done, the treaties and such that was done, we were always the authority, right? And we don't have to ask anyone to validate and or give back any particular anything, because it was always coming from us, because that which the treaty states, it was Morocco and Great Britain, and because we know that we are the Moroccan Empire, we stand as that, and we are that. We stated that. So that's what I was asking from that perspective about the connection with the acting Vatican and the acting Great Britain, and from that perspective, because they were enacting the place holding of the wealth that they pretended to have. And so now that we've stated all those things competently, and we've competently demonstrated and put all subjects in their place according to the Constitution, the law, the treaties and such, we are the government, we are the law, and we have all things, because we were always, like you had stated, first. And so because we are first and we wrote those things and we are the author and the finisher and everything
Why
in
are
between.
you Negroes so obsessed with wealth that you're never going to have?
We are the governing, and so I just wanted to state that
you're never going to be wealthy. Get over it, Negroes. You're never going to get wealthy.
To what you had showed and stated, and concerning the demonstration of the popes, Islam.
Well, the papal office is specific, so it had to come back here because we have our own.
Why
money.
won't Pauline talk about?
We have our own money, and the moment that we created Delarium, all of us together, because we all voted on it and had a hand in creating Delarium, all offices automatically they knew we were going to do this anyway. So everything has to align. It's specific. Even when it comes to, they keep talking about quote unquote an election, they know that that's specific too. All offices are specific. So, you're going to see everyone, all offices that anyone with any authority, specific here on this land. And that's actually that is a signal and a sign to the rest, to everyone else, that things are specific and aligning specifically according to species. Which brings back, which puts to the forefront, rather, not brings back, but what it emphasizes legacy status for everything on the land. Legacy status, which is something that, some were hoping we would not go back to legacy status, but we will, we must, we've already done it. So, we just continue. Can you imagine how many things have already happened that we don't know about yet? Can you just imagine?
I mean, yes, I can, for the fact of what is, the energy that is moving along with the bricks in that whole thing. That in and of itself is the culmination of what we are doing. That right there. That means that is monumental history. Her story, rather, because that part. So yeah, that right there. And then everything else that's taking place. Oh, Justice Nate, he has stated that there was how much land?
1 million square kilometers.
I can't hear you.
1 million square kilometers.
Oh, 1 million square kilometers that has just made itself known at Earth. And 1 million square kilometers is more than square miles. And so that's because she's doing what she's doing. Mother Earth, Mother Nature. She's expanding.
It's actually almost half a mile, or a little over half a mile, I think.
Oh.
I'll have to check that out. But you know what? Every time there's a volcano or an earthquake, that's just more land that's showing up anyway. It's, our estate is growing every day, every second. From the time we started this meeting until now, the estate has grown exponentially. Mm-hmm. It is without end. Our estate is without end. And that's why maturity is necessary. That's why maturity is necessary. And that's why wealth is necessary. We're already the wealthiest people ever. Already. So, you know, and wealth is specific. It's specific. The demonstration that we're doing, and that's why we nationalize everything that comes in the, we nationalize everything because we know the specificity of everything. With that being stated, the termination of all corporate contracts is necessary. We had to do that because now we're going to begin contracting again, but we are going to write all of our contracts with the resources and everything on the land, but we are writing our own contracts. We had to terminate so that we would not have the problem that Prince had and that Michael had and that all those great artists had. That is the purpose of the termination of corporate contracts. Because when we first started stating that Morris had to do that, we caught some, not caught. We heard Morris saying, you shouldn't do that. You won't be able to do this and this and this and this. No. You'll be able to do everything when you do that. And the ancestors have been slowly, and quickly walking us through demonstrations of that. We're in the process of another demonstration that we're absolutely excited about, where banking is concerned. Our ancestors know what they're doing with us. They know from start to finish what they're doing. It can be a little scary sometimes, but once we know who we are, it's not scary anymore. It's not scary. With that being stated, we are the wealth. These three parts of wealth are the parts that we're going to be really demonstrating all over the place. Where the churches are concerned, the churches are absolutely ready for what we have. For what we have, they're ready. Absolutely ready. All of them are ready because they're tired of being poor too. We're also seeing or noticing, or we have noticed, some of the main ones in that type of a setting they're starting to try and eat off the people a little bit too much, and the people are rejecting that. And so in order to keep peace, we must introduce Delarium to everyone. And we have a way to do that. The demonstration that we're going to show in the next couple of weeks is how it's going to be done from our perspective. Others have been inspired to introduce it in other ways. And we support every way that introduces more sovereign Delarium gold receipts to the people who are, that is based on. That's just so, to me, that's just so beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. With that being stated, we are going to be, the plan that we have for this information and for our laws and our Delarium, we're going to be, and this is after this demonstration that we're going to show you in a couple of weeks. Islam Empress J, in the chat. Thank you. She said that they have some demonstrations that they're doing with her. She has some demonstrations that she and her husband are doing, and they have another step to go. But she said that they'll keep us posted. Yes, keep us posted on how it goes. We know how it's going to go. We know it's in your favor. We just want to know how much in your favor. So we chose to exit the enacted poverty programming because it was necessary. And by us setting up our own legal system, and we didn't set it up, we just uncovered it, our own legal system, that is how the poverty mindset is done away with. It's finished. It's done away with. It was necessary to set up our own system and then use our system because it's ours. And that is how poverty programming is done away with, is know your system. Create your system. Use your words to create your system. So we've been looking at our thoughts, we've been looking at our words, we've been looking at our actions in order to deprogram and then self-program back to our God mind programming autonomously and sovereignly. At all territories, this is what we're going to, this is the plan right here. We're going to be restating, we've already started this, restating everything. Everything is going to be restated. I looked up the word poverty because the mindset of poverty has some characteristics. The condition or quality of being poor. Need. Remember we talked about the word need. That means getting on your knees. If you need something, that means you're on your knees begging for it. So we don't use the word need or want. We use the word will. Need or indigence, lack of means of subsistence. We don't have this problem. We don't have this problem. We've created our way out of poverty, enacted poverty. Deficiency in necessary properties or desirable qualities. See, now they're talking about species, specific. Or in a specific quality, inferiority, inadequacy. So anyone who says that they're poor, it starts in the mind first. They're really just saying they're poor-minded. Now, number 3 is the land words, the words that have to do with the land. And again, our minds are productive first and foremost. Productivity, that's why our prophet said, if I can just get you to think you'll free yourselves, he knew that a productive mind would do that. Some people wonder why we meet twice a week in Congress and talk about the things we talk about and vote on the things we vote on and create the laws we create. It's because we know that wealth is a mindset. Productivity, a productive mind. Number 3 says unproductiveness as of soil. See, the land is automatically going to produce as we produce. And that's what our demonstration is going to be about. We're going to produce the commerce, nationalize the commerce and produce, and it's already done, and then produce and begin the circulation of things. That's why we're not as concerned about what we're circulating as we are about the fact that it's delarium that's doing the circulation, that's causing the circulation to happen. Scarcity. There's no scarcity, no lack, no unproductiveness. And that is another reason. Number 3 is actually the reason why subjects in the office of clowns come in and try and speak and want to be heard, which we don't hear them. We don't hear them. It's like a court. The court will not hear what they're saying. They wanted to interrupt the productiveness of the mind, because they already know that when our minds are productive, wealth is going to manifest. They knew that was what was going to happen. They knew that scarcity was not a thing with us. They knew that. They wanted to keep their words in, and they wanted to be heard, because they keep trying to speak poverty and poorness into the mind. Islam, Empress.
That was one of the reasons why in the last enactment they never wanted us to come together in any type of group sessions or come together, because they knew that we could conquer anything. We would figure things out. We would end what they had tried to create. So that's just one of the reasons why I remember, gathering with, family members or friends at a park. They never wanted too many of us to be together at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they send in the actors acting as police to break it up. Look at this, and they also knew that blacks, if we thought when we were acting like we were black, the only time we could come together is when we were pushing their agenda and not our own. That's why the churches prospered in the last era, because it was their agenda, and that plate was being passed, and the fiat was going in. They didn't care what you said. They cared, are you pushing the agenda? The word poverty comes from the word paupertas. So when you go to, in the past, when we had gone to a fake court, when we first woke up, and some of you know the story, they said, in order for us to see you, you have to actually either be pro se or get an attorney. And then if you don't have the money for that, you have to plead informa pauperis. Informa pauperis. Informa pauperis. And you know what we told them. Even as young as we were in the newness of our waking up, we were like, no, that's not who we are. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing any of that. We're going to be in our proper person and be who we are. And if you can't see us, they can't either. Period. So unproductiveness as of soil, the land. So poverty is a land term, or the lack thereof, rather. It's the lack of land. It's scarcity of soil. Scarcity of soil.
Islam,
Empress.
I also see in that and hear in that is lack, or no lack of soul, no motion, no emotion, no movement, no. So lack of soul, I see there.
Wow. Yes. Inferiority. The root word being fear.
There. Yeah.
And it is specific. See, when we know who we are, fear it becomes specific. In other words, it's not specific to us. It's not specific to us. Our ancestors knew that. Everyone knew that we would become fearless the moment we woke up.
Because we would go to who we are. I mean, we would remember and return.
Yes. Yes.
That's also that part and partial.
Yes, part and parcel. Yes. Parcel, and this is how I know that word.
Land.
Yes. Parcel is male, right?
Yes.
That was one of the reasons we focused on the post office, because we knew in our spirit and in our mind that was a mechanism, a mechanism by which we would operate. So one of the first videos that we did was a male demonstration. So parcel, someone, and this is how we know that the information that the Moorish Science Temples of America had previously needed to be rewritten, because someone changed the word parcel, knowing what it meant, to partial. And they were saying that they were part and partial. And that's a spell you're casting right there. That's not the right word for some of the temples, not all of them. Because we love the Moorish Science Temples for America. We love them. Parcel is a land, and they spell it this way too. It has to do with land. This has to do with male.
You could put in par. If you put another L on, so par is cells of the living.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Wow, indeed. See, when the Moorish Science Temples, whenever they would say part and parcel, somebody somewhere knew that they were rightfully claiming the land. They knew that. Someone knew that. And so they rewrote and said, well, no, let's just change that to partial. Someone did that. We don't know who did it. We don't care who did it. We know what it should be. All of us. We all know. The Moorish Science Temples, we honor the temples. We've restated all that has to do with us to include all of that. So poverty, now that I think about it, in that last era, it seemed like all the churches, quote unquote, prospered in that last era except the Moorish Science Temples. Because I don't know of any temples that have a huge, building or anything, or structure or anything. Does anyone know of any?
I just cracked up laughing when you said that.
I'm thinking about that, like, what?
Well, yeah.
What happened? All the other religions, think about it. The Catholic, the Protestant, even my parents were able to get buildings and things of that nature in the last era, because my father was a minister and my mother was a minister also, and they were able to get land and things, 40 acres here and so on and so forth. But not the Moorish Science Temple. I don't know.
The agenda. It was the agenda. That was that. I mean, because they was using Fiat then too, but it was the agenda, because like was stated earlier from the previous empress, once we got together and we got to talking, spells would have been cast, and then that would have been the done of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So, then I looked up the word poor. Same word from the Latin pauper. Now, think about what on Little House on the Prairie, what did they call their father on Little House on the Prairie and all them country shows back in the day?
Pappy?
Papa.
Pawpaw.
Yeah.
In pauper, he is spelled the same. Pauper is father.
Yes.
Sacred songs, pauper is father. Mm.
Islam, what do those dots underneath the O's stand for? Punctuation.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me see. So, Islam Empress.
It's for sound. You'd have to look in the what do they call that? The international.
This dictionary will tell us what it means.
But it has something to do with whether it's of the vowel.
It does.
Oh, does that mean something like when I was in music and they had the treble clef, and you know they had the dot, it was partially filled in, or it had the stem with the accent on it and all of that, so it was like a music type of a symbol for how you pronounce things.
Music, the dot would carve the so if it was a quarter note and there was a dot following, it wouldn't be underneath, but it would be following. So that quarter note was then you halved it and added the 16th or the 8th. So it lengthened. So it's a similar thing because it either lengthens or shortens the sound of the vowel.
It says here in this dictionary that I got this from that when the dots are under the O, you would pronounce it as moon or food. So we should have been saying poor. But instead we were using the water term poor.
So actually it's the music, it's the same concept.
Yes.
Turned on its side.
Yes.
It's lengthening
the
sound of the O.
You know, they used to say, is it a long vowel, long O or a short O?
Short, exactly. Right.
Which is really bad.
Or to put emphasis on it, like on a music note when you're playing the hard sound.
Yeah.
Staccato, which is long, and staccato is short, legato is long. So
yes.
Same thing, same concept again, yeah.
And vibrato is?
It's where the waves are. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Which is just our science all day long when you talk about vibration. Poor, lacking material possessions. Now, remember we talked about dematerializing and rematerializing. The reason we talked about that is because it was mentioned in the book, The Great Taking. And I've heard them saying things about that. I realize now what the ancestors were saying. And really what they were saying in that book, The Great Taking, about dematerialization has already happened. That means that any contracts that was attached to a possession that possession and that contract have separated, and they're no longer valid. That has happened already. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Islam Empress.
Islam.
Another thing it brings me to mind with the vibrations and sounds, making things materialize and dematerialize. So speaking to things, and if we get back to the sounds and vibrations, being able to cast spells properly with the proper notes and tunes and sounds, things move.
That's so beautifully stated. that's like music to my ears. Because when I think about the demonstrations that we're going to show in a little while, probably in 2 weeks, probably. Lacking material possessions. We have literally, hear me when I say this, you all know we've done this already. We have absolutely caused everything to manifest for us. We've already done that with our words. So we're no longer poor, or acting poor, rather. Lacking material possessions. When I saw this, I thought, wow. So this is going to be what the demonstration is for in terms of Dolarium and our public market and the Moroccan American Exchange. That we remember our Moroccan American Exchange. We're going to see that in action in about 2 weeks. How, when everyone stepped up and claimed different banks and companies and things of that nature, that is a specific action. Okay. Here, having little or no means to support oneself, needy, impoverished. We have more money than we can spend, and we have as much money as we can print. So none of this applies to us. None of this applies to us. Indicating or characterized by poverty, lacking in some quality. We're not lacking in any quality. That's what this Congress was all about, is us coming together in the one mind and thinking, like our prophet said, thinking ourselves to freedom and wealth. I added the wealth part because freedom is wealth and vice versa, and wealth is freedom, among other things. Lacking abundance, lacking productivity, barren, sterile. Lacking nourishment, feeble, emaciated. This is the part that got me. Lacking excellence. Lacking excellence. And the root word of that is cells. Paltry, mean, insignificant, inferior, lacking good moral or mental qualities, mean-spirited, contemptible, as he is a poor creature. When I thought about this word, and I thought about us and our state, because our state is the wealthiest state ever, I just thought, we don't lack anything. We don't lack anything. We have everything. So the dematerialization and the materializing, that part. So all the domiciles, all of the conveyances and everything, it is, and this is why it was important that we save ourselves first. The dematerialization has happened where the funny mirror is concerned. Their contracts are not connected to any material goods at all, none. So what did they do? They enacted everything getting flooded. Everything getting flooded, being underwater. All of these things that are listed here, moral and mental qualities and pleasure and comfort and satisfaction, all of those things, we're not lacking any of that. But just like pleasure, I'll use that as an example. Our pleasure comes when we create it. We get up and create the pleasure, right? Well, the wealth is the same way. Wealth is the same way. That's why they had us clocking in 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5 every day. Except we were creating it for someone else, which is not, that's not specific. And that is why they said that America was the melting pot and everybody could come and do whatever they wanted to do over here, because there was nothing specific going on over here like that in the enactment. We had not specified the money. We had not specified or added species to those things. Even our pleasure and comfort are specific. Our satisfaction specific. Excellence is specific, which makes it superior. And see, inferior, the root word is fear. Well, what is the root word for superior? Peer. It's peer, as in our peers. And peer is also a sight word. It's a word when you peer into something. You're looking into something.
And a peer is also
yes,
it is wrong.
Thinking, always thinking, always thinking. Go ahead, Empress.
I was just going to say a pier. It goes into the water. It meets where the Atlantic and the water meet.
Yes. Look here at, it says poor debtor, an insolvent debtor. Worthy of pity. Poor, worthy of pity. That's why we don't do pity parties on this platform. That's why we don't do them. This is not the platform for pity parties. We will stop that before it gets started good. Because of this. We're not poor. Poor debtor's oath, an oath of poverty required of an imprisoned debtor before he may be released by taking insolvency proceedings under the law. Let that sink in. And see, here's the thing. Because we would not take that oath by claiming their name, because see, when you claim their name, and the straw man, that's theirs.
Yeah.
What do they put out in the field to scare the crows?
The scarecrow.
A scarecrow made of straw.
Made of straw, the straw man.
Looking like a person out in the field.
With no substance.
No substance at all. And see, that's the thing. That is a test. That whole jail thing and all of that, that's a test to see if you're going to take the debtor's oath.
To see if you are indeed who you say you state.
Yes, yes, indeed. Unfortunate. That's what it says in number 10. Unfortunate. Look at the words. Look at the word. That's why words coming out of our mouth is everything.
It's the word fortune that's in between so it has this without fortune.
Yes, and the root word is fort, which is a military term.
Or foundation.
Yes. Yes. So those who cannot see that more sovereign dolarium gold receipts are the real thing, but they think fiat is real, they are in agreement with a debtor's oath. They're in agreement with a debtor's oath. This is actually what a bond is.
Yeah.
Before he may be released by taking insolvency proceedings under the law. That's a bond from the last era's enactment.
That's a bond. Yep, bail bond, all of those. They want to, yep.
That is why the ancestors said, get the bonds out there. Get the bonds out there. Because our bonds specifically state that we're wealthy. Specifically state that we are free, we are wealthy, and everything belongs to us. A poor farm, a farm for paupers supported by a county or other local government. So when the change was happening and the Moors were being enacted as being run off of their land, and then someone, a foreign species, got a government grant either to plant things or not to plant things. That was a poor farm. It went from being extremely wealthy to poor. Now, I looked at this other one here, and I thought about the Moors whose egos, and this is all of us, whose egos are in the right place now. Because see, poor in spirit, humble, contrite, without pride, that's not us. That is not us. That's not the Moors. That's not the Moors at all. There should be another word for the ego. We'll come up with one at some point. Poor laws, laws that provide for public relief and support of the poor. Public relief and support of the poor. That is why the public treasury was so important.
Islam. If I've assisted people doing processes in the former era, and one of the things that they enacted doing for people who, enacted not having resources to quote unquote pay in the system to get relief, remedy, and such, they would have you do a poor man's filing, right? And if you were doing a poor man's filing, based upon the definition that we are all reading, all seeing that the definition of what poor man is, or poor, and then they attach it to man somehow, but it really, come on now. But is cheating yourself, essentially enacting that anyway, by even using that system to put anything on the record with that system, using fiat or stating that you don't have fiat to try to get justice in their system. The poor man's, whatever it is, filing is egregious on every front for the fact of what it means to classify poor.
Yeah.
the dead man's oath, poor man's debtor's oath is being enacted by that. You're stating your insolvency in the proceedings under law. And this is why probably nobody has gotten any so-called justice by using that, because you stated by putting your signature on that line saying, I'm seeking the poor man's relief. Yeah. And that's why Fiat is dear God. We know what it is and what it ain't. And
that's why everybody stayed poor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By their own enactment.
Right.
Poor man's filing. Wow. It never sat well with me to file with that anyway. Because and it didn't sit well with my spirit.
Yeah.
Islam
nobility.
So this is what they mean by broke is a temporary condition, but poor is a state of mind.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes. It's a state of mind. Think about that. A state without the mind. That's crazy, huh? Yes, ego means I, so I do like that word, but yeah, indeed. That's something to think about. See, we can't be classified as poor because it is impossible for us to even sign a poor debtor's oath because we're the court. We're the court. We're the court. So it is absolute. We're rich by definition. By definition, we're rich. We're very wealthy. Never again will we ever enact signing a poor debtor's oath. And here's the thing. Any of their contracts are poor debtor's oaths. Any of them. No matter what it is. That's why people are having 2 and 3 jobs and things of that nature, trying not to be completely destitute in a poor system.
Islam, by virtue of them forming it, writing it,
yes,
it has to be because they are poor debtors. They are poor debtors. And it belongs to them.
Yes, absolutely. If anyone who had any doubts about who we are as Moors, because it's only Moors who doubt their identity. It's not others. Others know who we are. All they have to do is look in the dictionary. And then look at what we've demonstrated and what we continue to demonstrate. We open every Congress with court language that is competent. It's impossible for us to do a poor debtor's oath. Impossible. It's not possible.
Not possible. And Islam, the congressional meeting, so every time meet, M-E-E-T, gathering.
Yes.
But I also see M-E-A-T. Now, I don't eat meat.
Yes.
Is meat. And the congressional meeting is a feast for our mind.
Yes.
Our mind.
It's wealth. It's the wealthy mindset.
Well, right. Because we are sharing knowledge.
Yes.
And knowledge is power and knowledge is wealth.
And
by virtue of thinking I exist,
yes.
I think, therefore, I am.
Yes. You said the word meat, Empress.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that when it comes to wealth, because you're so right about that. Just like Empress Nabi said, when they saw us getting together, it was a problem. Malachi 3:10 says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, says the Lord of hosts." What are we saying? Tithes is a specific type of thing. It's specific. This is tithes that we're paying right now, because it's time, it's energy, and it's energy more so than anything. That is tithes. That there may be meat in mine house. The only way we were ever going to get anything done was to meet.
Mm-hmm.
To receive the manna.
Yes, and it's actually it started out manna, that's for sure. Manna from on high, indeed. It started out that, and now it's a buffet of high quality, the highest quality ever of meat.
Where we feast and get to the meat of the martyr.
Yes, indeed. And look what happens when meat is in the storehouse. The windows of heaven fly open, and we pour ourselves out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. We'll make room. We're making room right now. I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit. The vine is a her.
Yes.
They got that part right. Before the time in the field, says the Lord of hosts, and all nations shall call you blessed. That means all nations are going to be naming you.
Yeah.
For you shall be a delightsome land. There's that word, land. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I like the word meat, by the way, and I do eat what is considered meat. I don't think it's real meat, though. I don't think it's real meat.
Yeah, that's
and only certain kinds and qualities, etc. But yeah, it's not real anyway.
that is true.
Isn't plant flesh meat as well?
It is meat. Yes.
The
meat of the fruit, the meat of the, yes, indeed.
That's what it is. It's
yes.
real. Actually, meat is the real nourishing substance of
yes.
anything natural.
Yes. Our flesh is meat.
That's exactly.
So, and here's some more. Look at this one. Poor white. In the southern United States, a white person who lives in great poverty and ignorance, often as a tenant farmer. That was the enactment that we enacted last era. Also, collectively, poor white trash, contemptuous term. I didn't. Did anyone know that term was in the dictionary? I didn't know that until I saw it. The poor or needy, and then it says people collectively. It has a comma there, and it says people collectively. Indigent, moneyless. Impecunious, penniless. Humble, meager, weak, insufficient, deficient, faulty, unsatisfactory, inconsiderable, thin, scanty. Poor, a small European fish, Gadus minutus. Poorhouse, a house or institution for paupers supported from public funds. The difference between what we're doing and this definition is that none of us are paupers. So we're actually circulating things for wealthy people. That's what the Larium is the circulating for the wealthy. So when we do the demonstration, we'll be doing it to get the wealth out to the heirs, really. And it may not look like wealth at first, but it's coming.
But it must be wealth, whether it looks like it, it is wealth, simply because it is no longer in the poorhouse.
You're right.
So
you're right. You are so right. Thank you for that awareness.
You're welcome.
Indeed. Empress, I'm in agreement and in alignment with thinkers. You're always thinking. That's why I said what I said. You never stop thinking, and that resonates with my spirit.
And vice versa.
Indeed. I wanted you to see this particular part of this definition. Look at the word port right there. It's land. It's a mountain pass. Port. Did you know port was spelled that way, y'all? I didn't.
May I ask, what is the capital D?
The D is, I don't know. Let me look. The capital D, that's the Dutch spelling.
Okay, that's what that is. Okay.
But look at poor will. Look at this. It's an American bird. Poor will. Of course it's an American bird. That's a hint.
Yeah.
That's a hint. Then I looked up pauper, a poor person. Penury, want, need, destitution, beggary, pauperizing or being pauperized, to reduce to pauperism, to make a pauper of. The state of being poor or destitute of the means of support. And that's what our demonstration is rebutting. We're not poor, we're not paupers. Everything goes through us. Everything must come through us. That's what the demonstration is really all about. That's why it is what it is. The demonstration that we're going to share in just a couple of weeks. We're just putting it together. We may even have we may have some of it ready. Oh, it's an ongoing demonstration anyway, so we may have it ready by Thursday. We may have it ready by this coming Thursday. So, and pay means peace.
Yes.
Pax, pay, peace, pax.
In French, P-A-I-X, pronounced pay is peace, yes.
Yes.
And country.
And that is specific. So when we use the word pay, that's what we're talking about. When you pay specifically, peace is automatic. In other words, when we have our own money, peace is automatic. There's no war. And then peace, there's the word peace right there. Peace means, and just as you stated, Empress, in French, P-A-I-X, peace, pax. Freedom from war or civil strife. An undisturbed state of mind.
Islam,
Empress.
When you just stated about paying brings peace, that's what a charge was anyway. When somebody was to charge you, they was trying their best to get order and peace, but they would charge you enacting debt.
Yeah.
In the last era. That's why we had to create our own species and be species specific, so that we could have peace and not have debt, which was enacting war.
Yes. Yes, indeed. As we were even thinking about creating it, the ancestors were saying peace would return when we do. And as soon as we got to where we are now, the fake state of Israel, declared war, which is something that's a sign. One last thing before we adjourn. This is a video. This is a video that I am suggesting that we watch. The answer is not yet, Justice Leander. Not yet. Give me a few more days to get down there to check on the mail at that particular place. Here's a video that I am suggesting that you all watch. This video is an example of those wanting to come out of the previous system and why they want to come out of the previous system. See, what's happening now is that because we have our own courts and they are, and that the fraud is not able to just randomly enact lawlessness on people, they had to fill that space. And so they started taking the subjects. And it's really just based on status. It's really based on status that they're being taken. And this is a video of it's not funny. I'm laughing at the fact that everything was so simple for us right out in front of us. All we had to do was speak properly. That's the part that I'm chuckling about. The video is just, two subjects being arrested in their driveway. When in the last era, that would have never gone the way it went. And they are wondering, how are they able to do that? Those in the last era, they knew the law, quote unquote, and it wasn't the real law, but they knew it. And they would throw it out there and threaten a lawsuit in a heartbeat to some quote unquote police trying to do things to them. And they tried that in this video and it didn't work. Because again, Moors, there was quite a few videos circulating, not quite a few. It was really just the same 15 or 20 videos of Moors, being taken and things of that nature. It's not that many videos like that out there. It's really not that many. It's that the videos that are out there, that were out there, of Moors being arrested, quote unquote, in the enactment, all the Moors saw, and the funny mirror made sure that it circulated around, because they knew that it wasn't going to be long. They knew it wasn't going to be long before our courts start doing what our courts are doing, and that's not an ego statement. That's a fact. So, it's our job to tell our own story. It's our job to do that, and that's what we're doing. See, they didn't do anything. They didn't make any videos or put anything in the newspaper about us when we did our POW demonstrations. They didn't do any of that that we saw.
because it's our story to tell. And then when I successfully completed the demonstration, I did a video about it, because we're supposed to tell our own story. No one is supposed to do that but us. No one but us. We'll start here the next meeting about the Miranda warning. We'll talk about that in the next meeting, but you can look at it now, and we'll talk about it in the next meeting, the next Congress, because the Miranda warning at one point, really what it is or was a court action that they were doing. And then after a while, they just stopped doing court actions like that. The Miranda, that was a court action that they had to read to people because it's a court action. And this is what we're saying about the court action language. The court action language replaces that. The court action language replaces that. Oops, that was the wrong link. I apologize for that. That was the wrong link. Here's the link. That other one was what we looked at in the last Congress. So the link that's in there now is the right link. Okay. With that being stated, we will adjourn here if there be nothing further from Congress. Is there any other wisdom, questions, comments from this Congress?
Oh, Islam.
Islam. Everything
that today is the 21st, and today is the beginning of the Aquarian zodiac.
Beautiful. You know, I was going to say today, a year from now would have been, quote unquote, inauguration. That's being restated also. We're all the president. Islam. Empress Justice Harold.
Islam. Gratitude and honor. I just wanted to thank you for the great taking. I think that's the name of the book. The Great Taking. I got to the part where one of the objectives is to not let nationalization happen. So I had to just let you know I appreciate that. I'm going to read the whole thing. Islam.
Ta-da! I'm so glad that you read that far, Nobility, because the book, listen, the title of the book alone talks about when we wake up, this is what happens. When we wake up, everyone knows who we are. They have known that from the beginning.
Yes.
And those are their words. Our words are what they are. But now, when you read the book, you know that they've always known who we were, though. That's my thing. Is running around here acting like, who's Morris? Who's the Morris? Who's the Morris? Are you kidding? Really? Really? And they're all talking about that book now. Everywhere they're talking about the book.
This time, Empress, if you have a sophisticated, associate or friend or relative, reading that has to put them in a place of listening to something that you may have to say. It really will. It has to, unless they're going to let, like you said, a new word for ego, but let the ego just take over and block it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I really do appreciate it.
That's a great idea, Nobility, to give that book to anybody that doubts what we're saying about nationalizing. And the rest of the earth tried to do it, but it wasn't for them to do. It was for us to do. Gaddafi acted it out. Castro acted it out. Hugo Chavez acted it out. Who else? That one that they have in jail that they call El Chapo. He acted it out. See, they trying to make him seem like he was a drug dealer and stuff like that. He was trying to trying to nationalize some stuff that he really doesn't have the status to nationalize. Islam.
Didn't Saddam Hussein do the same? Idi Amin?
Yes. Many have attempted to nationalize, but it has to start with us. It has to start with us. And that book, The Great Taking, is proof positive that they know who we are. I'm just telling you. It's proof.
And that goes back to, if I may, stating about the Moroccan and Great Britain treaty, how we, the Moors, did that. And Great Britain, they were a signator to that. But we, the Moors, we created that document.
Well, no document exists unless we create it.
Well, yes. So, with that stated, we are the end all be all is all, the everything in between, and nothing revolves without us. So we don't need from any front of any side of anything to give us the okay, the I'll go ahead, or any of that, because we only we can do that.
And that actually is what gives us our boldness, Empress. Is we know nothing gets done unless we do it.
And when we state our nationality, that is the reversion of the estate.
Yes.
That calls out all fraud. That brings the light and sheds the light and is the light. Oh, and light, sun, and heat is the greatest sanitization treatment out there. It sanitizes everything. It cleans up everything, right? Yeah. So when you shed the light on any situation, you just obliterate the chaff, the fraud, the dirt, the scum, whatever. And so that whole part.
Yeah, it's fine. We affirm. Yeah. Everyone knew. They were just waiting for us to know. And for us to know is just to tap into the spirit that's in us. Nothing exists unless it comes from us. Period. That's what Funny Mirror was all about. So, yeah. We will adjourn and meet again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. For that, we are grateful. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. Peace.
Peace and grand rising. Peace and grand rising.
Some Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.